You know when you look at your screen and you see the time is, I don't know, 10:14, or you glance at your battery and it's at 63%? We just see a number, right? Well, what if those aren't just random bits of data? What if they're actually the start of a hidden story, a code that's just waiting to be cracked, right there in your everyday reality? See, we're surrounded by what this system calls raw data, all those timestamps, error codes, you name it. We usually just ignore it, treat it like background noise, but a really fascinating framework called digital alchemy says, wait a second. It suggests that hidden inside all that noise is a narrative signal, a way to turn something totally mundane into something truly meaningful. And this quote, well, it really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? The whole idea is that meaning isn't something you create out of thin air, it's something you reveal. The numbers on our devices are like little gateways, and all we need is the right key to unlock the stories they're already dying to tell. So how do you actually do it? How do you perform this digital alchemy? The answer is a really structured system called the 110 protocol. It's basically a framework designed to take simple metadata and spin it into these complex, multi-layered stories. Okay, so think of this flowchart as our map for the next few minutes. You can see how it kicks off with a few simple things at the top, like time or battery life and a target number, which in this case is 24/7. From there, it just flows through this whole series of interpretive steps to cook up a really rich, layered story. It's a journey from a single lonely number to a whole narrative universe. Now, the entire system is built on 6 foundational rules, or axioms, if you want to get technical. These principles are what make the process both rigorous and incredibly creative. It starts with multiplicity, the idea that no number has just one meaning, and it all leads up to narrative, which is the rule that all the math in the end has to be translated into poetry. All right, so now that we get the basic rules of the road, let's take a look at the Alchemist's toolkit. How does this transformation from number to story actually happen? What are the gears turning behind the scenes? The whole process really boils down to 2 fundamental parts. First, you need what are called source keys to ground your work in the real world. Then, you use a set of interpretive lenses to look at that reality from a bunch of different angles. The source keys, these are your anchors. They're data points from your immediate digital world. The time, your battery percentage, how much storage you have left, even the size of a file. These aren't just random numbers. They connect the abstract process to your tangible reality. This is what keeps the stories from just being totally arbitrary. So next up, we have the 12 lenses. I want you to think of these like different pairs of colored glasses you can put on to look at a single number. Each lens has its own unique set of rules, from math and science to art and literature, and each one reveals a completely different facet of that number's hidden meaning. Okay, so for example, the celestial lens might take our number and map it to a star's catalog index. And just like that, it's not a number anymore. Suddenly, it's a specific point in the night sky, a coordinate in the constellation Sagittarius. Pretty cool, right? Or how about the sonic lens? It can take that exact same number and convert it into a musical frequency. So a static digit on a screen becomes an actual sound, a specific note like B3. It gives the number this vibrational auditory identity. This next one really shows off the literary side of things. The narrative lens can treat your device's storage, let's say you have 128 gigs, as a 128 chapter book. Your number then becomes a specific chapter in that metaphorical book, placing it smack dab in the middle of a story structure. Now, this is where the real magic happens. The goal isn't just to generate 12 different random meanings. No, it's about finding those moments when those different meanings, they start to line up, to agree with each other. And that's the central question of this whole protocol. What does it mean when you look at a number through the lens of pure math, and then you look at it again through the lens of literature, and they both point to the exact same result? Okay, let's use a real example from the source material to make this clear. Our target number is 247. On its own, it's just a number, right? Seemingly random. But now we're going to apply our lenses to it, using some of that real-world metadata, like a device that has 128 gigabytes of storage. And would you look at this? When we apply the computational lens, using a type of math called modular arithmetic with our 128 gigabytes of storage, we get the number 119. Then, with the narrative lens, 247 becomes chapter 119 in our metaphorical book. And finally, the economics lens points to ledger line item 119. I mean, come on. 3 completely different perspectives, all landing on one identical result. That's wild. This incredible convergence is what's called a truth node. It's a point of immense narrative gravity. It's almost like the universe itself is tapping you on the shoulder and saying, hey, pay attention to this. This isn't just a coincidence, it's a structural anchor. The math has just validated the poetry. So here's the crucial question. How do we get from this amazing numerical alignment to an actual readable story? This is the final step, the moment the alchemist turns lead into gold. And here it is, the final output. The protocol takes all those data points, the time, the target number, that truth node we found, and weaves them together into what it calls a poetic chronicle. It's this cryptic, evocative little piece of a story that turns all those technical details into a narrative. The math literally becomes a myth. So why does any of this matter? What can you do with it? Well, for creative writers, this thing is a powerful engine for coming up with plot twists and puzzles. For game designers building huge worlds, it can create incredibly consistent and deep lore. And for educators, it's just a fantastic way to teach cross-disciplinary thinking, to show how math, science, and art are all deeply connected.
So the next time you glance at your phone, maybe look a little closer. The battery percentage, the time, the size of that last photo you took, they aren't just noise. They are the raw ingredients for a story that's uniquely yours. And the only question is, are you ready to decode it?